Hello everyone and welcome to Star Wars On High. Thank you for stopping by. We are back with more Star Wars Celebration coverage. Everyone's over in London having a great time. I'm at home, just got home from work. I hate that I'm missing out on everything, but I still want to get you guys caught up on everything that I know so far. And I'm going to start off with this brand new timeline that was just released. Star Wars Explained posted a picture of this yesterday on Twitter, showing us 3 new sections of the Star Wars timeline, including Dawn of the Jedi, The Old Republic, and the new Jedi Order. These are 3 moments in Star Wars that I know a lot of people love. Everyone loves The Old Republic. Dawn of the Jedi is one of my favorite things. I think it's really cool. And the new Jedi Order. Fantastic. Now, obviously, it's going to be quite a while before any of these projects come out and come to fruition and everything. But on top of this, we also were assigned some movies to go along with this. Dawn of the Jedi is getting its own movie directed by James Mangold. We know that Dave Filoni is also going to be helming a Star Wars movie that is going to be tying together everything in the Mandoverse. And lastly, we are getting the new Jedi Order with Rey, set 15 years after The Rise of Skywalker. I'm not sure if there's a director attached to that yet. I haven't seen anything. If you know that, leave it in the comments for me. But these are some movies that I think are going to be incredible. Now, before we go any further, I understand that there's been a big issue with Star Wars and Lucasfilm in trying to get projects out of the gate. I'm 100% aware of that. Here's the reasons I think these 3 movies are actually going to happen, and this is playing off of what Around the Galaxy also said on Twitter, so I'll link that tweet down in the description if I can, just to explain to you what I'm talking about. Because I 100% agree with what he was saying. For starters, James Mangold directing this Dawn of the Jedi movie, it's 100% going to happen for these reasons. He's already directed the new Indiana Jones movie. He's directed an MCU film. He's directed a DCEU film. This is going to happen. There's just no doubt in my mind. This is set. They're wanting to expand well past the Skywalker saga, and going back 25,000 years before the Battle of Yavin is exactly how we should do that. The Dave Filoni movie, that's easily going to happen. There's no creative differences. They just don't exist. Stop making this stuff up. You know, the Book of Boba Fett, The Mandalorian, this Ahsoka show, it's all going to tie together into a movie. That is definitely going to happen. And you don't just bring Daisy Ridley out on stage, announce this movie, and then say nothing's going to happen, especially because it's the main actor involved. If it were a director or producer, sure, it could be a different story. The same thing that happened with the Rogue Squadron movie, but no, this is 100% going to happen. Now, I could always be wrong. Take everything I say with a grain of salt, but 100%, I personally believe these will happen, and we will see these. It will take some time, but they're going to happen. But in this very, very long waiting period that we will have before any of this stuff comes out, I think some required reading is in order, because we've got several books that would cover all of these topics perfectly to give you an idea of what to expect in all of these movies. Now, disclaimer, I'm going to say it again, disclaimer, make it as big on the screen as I can here, massive disclaimer. I am 100% aware all of the things I'm about to talk about are the expanded universe novels. I understand that Disney is probably not going to recreate these 100%. I know they're not going to create this 100%. However, there is no harm in knowing what came before. So checking out these books might get you a little excited for what to look forward to in these upcoming projects. Now, starting at the very beginning of this timeline with Dawn of the Jedi, you should check out the book Dawn of the Jedi, Into the Void by Tim Levin. Now, that book takes place, I think specifically it was like 27,100 and something years. There's a very specific date to it, but it brings us to the beginning of the Jedi Order, or back then when it was known as the Jedi Order. And this is a fascinating time in the Star Wars timeline. You know, that's back when they're on Tython creating the Jedi Order, when everyone came together from Force-sensitive beings and they created this order. It's really cool. They use swords instead of lightsabers because that technology wasn't around yet. And they've been building to this for quite a while. And I knew this was going to happen, and I've been calling it every time. Recently, you know, we saw it in Jedi Fallen Order with the Zepho and wondering what these ancient beings were. We got the crystal in Andor from the Rakatan Uprising that had a lot to do with that time period as well. And then we have just recently in an episode of The Bad Batch, we had this random mechanical dinosaur almost that acted a lot like one of these Zepho mechanical beings that we've seen before, like the Temple Guardians. So this was going to happen eventually, and I'm so excited that it is, because this is a time period I've wanted to see more of since I knew it existed. Knowing what happened thousands and thousands and thousands of years before the events that we already know. It just has me really pumped and really excited. Now, moving along to the Old Republic. This is going to be a little bit of a tricky one. There are some books you can read. I'm not sure how much it will actually enhance your experience from whatever comes out of the Old Republic, but I'm going to start off by saying, oops, that's backwards. I'm going to start off by saying Revan from the Old Republic is a fairly good place to start. My only downside with that is the 4 Old Republic novels that are specifically listed as the Old Republic are mainly based off of the stories from the MMO, which I know is loosely related to the Knights of the Old Republic video games, the original ones. So if you don't feel like reading, I would probably just go and play that instead. Knights of the Old Republic and Knights of the Old Republic 2. The Old Republic MMO might be something that also adds to the story, so there's no harm in trying that as well. It is free to play after all. So I would definitely look into those if you're wanting to know more about the Old Republic. And the best part is, for Dawn of the Jedi and the Old Republic, there is a massive amount of comics. There are so many comics, so if you don't feel like reading any books, there's a comic that goes alongside with the Dawn of the Jedi book. There's more Old Republic comics than I know what to do with. Or you could probably even read into the Darth Bane trilogy, as that is still technically set in the Old Republic. Now, you saw the Ahsoka teaser yesterday. We all heard her say it. Thrawn is the heir to the Empire. So guess what we're going to also recommend? Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn, the first book that ever took anything Star Wars past Return of the Jedi, and the first book to introduce Grand Admiral Thrawn. Seeing as we've been building up to this for a while, he was fantastic in Rebels. It was just confirmed Lars Mikkelsen will be returning to play the live-action role of Thrawn. I could not recommend that enough. Now, when it comes to the original Thrawn trilogy, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I think it's okay. I did only recently read it for the first time, so I don't have the nostalgia attachment to that. However, that does not take away from the fact that it is a substantial and a very important piece of Star Wars history, because it really is the stepping stone to where we are today, to giving us all of the expanded universe games, books, novels, comics, toys, everything. It all started there with Timothy Zahn, and having him on board to oversee and supervise the Thrawn scenes in Ahsoka, I think is fantastic. And lastly, with the news of the new Jedi Order coming back, you guessed it, and it's backwards again. Why do I keep doing this? The new Jedi Order, starting with Vector Prime by R.A. Salvatore. Now, this is a book series you may want to start sooner rather than later. I would recommend starting with Heir to the Empire first, since Ahsoka comes out in August. But the new Jedi Order, what is that about? Well, Luke's restarting the new Jedi Order when a new threat enters the galaxy, the Yuzong Vong. Here's the issue with this. It is a 19-book series with several online novellas that you can also add into that as well. So there is a lot of reading here. However, it's probably going to be some time. It'll probably be a few years. I'm going to guess 5 years before we see anything on the new Jedi Order and how that movie is going to go. So that gives you plenty of time to blaze through 19 books of a pretty incredible series with a pretty incredible story. Again, I understand these are legends and that the stories will not probably communicate to screen exactly as everyone wants it to, because it is the new Disney canon, it is not the EU. But these are some great starting points that you could go in, read something you may have not have read before, and be prepared and try to get excited for these upcoming projects, because truly, we don't know what they're going to be about, but we can have something of an idea of where it could go. I know that's a lot, but I think it's going to be exciting, and it gives me more of a reason to try to go back and read more of the EU novels. But what are your thoughts? Are you excited for these announcements of all of these new movies and all of these different time periods? That's all I wanted. I wanted something well after the Skywalker saga, or something thousands of years before the Skywalker saga, and look at that. I got both of them. I'm so excited right now. But let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Are you excited for these movies? Are you going to check out any of these books? Let us know which ones you plan on reading and which ones you've already read, and what do you think we can expect from these movies. But until then, thank you to everyone who stuck around to this point in the video. We hope you enjoy the rest of Star Wars Celebration, and we hope to see you again very soon.